The reason why my heart got real heavy when I saw that interview with Wendy, because within the first 5 minutes, I could see that she had concerns with communication. She was having trouble with communicating her thoughts and choosing the right words. So I'll tell you that, as I stated in a previous video, dementia is not a disease. It is not a diagnosis. It is the symptoms of a diagnosis. For example, if you have a headache and you go to the doctor for a headache, the headache is the symptom of, could be a brain bleed, it could be an infection. So what's causing that headache is the actual disease. So with someone having dementia, something has to cause dementia. And I'll put a link to that video below so that way you can check it out as well. But when really listening to Wendy's interview with Fat Joe, I immediately noticed that she was having trouble finding the right words to fit what she really wanted to say. Some of the early signs and symptoms of dementia as it relates to communication is difficulty tracking conversation, word find difficulty, difficulty concentrating, repeating familiar words, and hiding what you can't remember. So Wendy displayed all of these in the interview with Fat Joe. But let me say this, although these may be early signs of dementia, these are also early signs of PPA, Primary Progressive Aphasia. I'll include a link below to an interview I did with professionals who work in the aphasia arena, and it was very, very fascinating. But it didn't appear as if she had problems with short-term memory. And again, I'm basing this on listening to Wendy when she came on air here in South Carolina almost 20 years ago and comparing it to now. And so as I go through this talk, I'm going to share with you what I would share with Wendy and her family if they were sitting right here in my office. In that interview, she paused a lot. She used a lot of vocal fillers. You know what I'm talking about. She also hid what she couldn't remember because she would say, "We'll talk about that later," or "I don't want to talk about that now." Her communication or her track of communication was not always cohesive and comprehensive. She kind of went off in different directions as Fat Joe was asking her questions. She started talking about Joan Rivers and some of the items she got from Joan Rivers when she would visit her. She even went into talking about a jersey she got from Biggie Smalls before he died. And there was a point in the video where she was holding up the tag, and as opposed to her saying that she didn't remove the tag, she said something totally different. She uses simple words, very elementary words. There was a point where she was talking about things happening to people who are well off or wealthy, but she didn't use the word wealthy or well off. She used simpler words such as someone who has a lot of money, because maybe she could not think of the word at the time that she wanted to use to relay her thought. She used a lot of body language and hand gestures. That's just like anybody else. If we're trying to figure out the word that we want to use to relay a particular topic, we might do our hands like this, or look up or look down, or just kind of fidget because we're trying to find that word. We're trying to figure out how to cohesively and comprehensively relay our thoughts. So again, those are typical signs in the early stages that we tend to see with someone who may have dementia. But again, these are signs and symptoms of someone who may have aphasia, primary progressive aphasia.